Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'd like to welcome y'all back to another Android Pre-K tutorial. Today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to set up your buttons programmatically inside your activities Java file the regular way. So let's get into it. Should have Eclipse open. Go ahead, open up a project. And I know, like I said before in every other tutorial, make sure you have your emulator already running in the background. What we're going to do is go to your resources folder, open up your layout file. First, what we need to do is we need to drag a button into our application. Now that we have our button set right here, what we're going to do is we're going to set up the OnClickListener. And before we set our OnClickListener on the button itself inside the XML, but I'm going to show you how to do everything inside your Java file for your activity. So we're going to open up the activity Java file. First thing what you need to do is go right after activity. After it says extends activity, what we need to do is just type in lowercase implements, because we need to make sure that this activity implements an OnClickListener. All right, and now you can see it's underlined red. We're getting an error because we need to import an OnClickListener, and we getting another error because we have an unimplemented method, so we need to add the unimplemented method. So you're saying that you implemented it, but you're not using it, and now we used it. It created a public void onClick for us right now. So we're going to delete this demo text right here, because this is where we're going to add our statement of what we want our buttons to do. Next, we're going to go inside the onCreate, right at the end, enter down. Now we're going to set up our buttons right now. We're going to do one button, and this button is going to be called button 1. And it's going to be equal to a button that you can find in the view by the ID. Which ID? Well, it's going to be inside the resources folder somewhere, and it's going to be inside the resources folder. And as you can see inside of our hints, no IDs came up, because one thing I forgot to do, which I sometimes do, is I forgot to save this. We added a button inside the XML file, but we didn't save it. So the program, the activity, doesn't know that there is a button with an ID inside the view. So we'll go back to the Java, and we'll just take out this period right here, add a period again, and now you can see now the activity knows, okay, inside the resources folder, there's an ID that I should be looking for, that I can find. And you can find the ID, and yes, it just found our reference to the ID, and the ID of the button is button 1. You could change it to something else you want. Just make sure that you change it right here, because that's going to mess up your code. But just put a semicolon in, and we need to set our OnClickListener. Or, matter of fact, what we should do first to get rid of this error, and you can see it's underlined red, we just need to import the button widget into the activity. All right, now what we need to do is we need to set the OnClickListener. And button 1 dot set OnClickListener. The first one just came up. That's what we want. Just set it to this, and then semicolon. Save it. No errors. Now we have a OnClickListener set for button 1, and button 1 is a button that is equal to a button that you can find in the view by the ID. Which ID? It's a resource ID button 1. Everything is set up for our button, almost. Now we need to make sure our OnClickListener has a statement for our button. So what we're going to say is if v.getID, so it's going to say get the ID from the view of anything that's clicked. And if the ID of whatever is clicked is equal to this ID, button 1, then we want you to do this. Open curly brace, gives you a close curly brace, and closes it out. Save this. And this is what this is saying once again, is that the OnClickListener is set for anything in the view. So if anything in the view is clicked, if the ID that you get from the view is equal to this ID, then do whatever we put inside of here. And what I'm going to do is just make a toast real quick. Toast dot make text. Choose the first one. We want the character sequence. We're just going to put this for the context, and then we're going to just add the text that we want. We're just going to say toast. Then we're going to add the duration, and duration is just toast dot set it to long, enter down, period, show, semicolon, close it out. All right, we don't have any errors. And now what we're going to do is make sure our run configuration is set to run this project. Make sure that your project is set. And that is going to go right to the, and make sure it's going to go to the correct virtual device. Just click run, go to our virtual device. And when the application loads, we should have our project set. Basic app that we just made. We have the button demo title right here. We have the text view, basic text, and we have our button. And now our button, everything is set up programmatically inside the Java. When you click your button, you should see a toast message. Now, as you can see, all you have to do is just change up this statement right here to whatever you want to change. And now you just need to know what functionality you can add to your app just by putting it right here, because everything for your button is set up. And if you want to add multiple buttons to your application, give yourself some more functionality, all you need to do is just add another button, save it. That way your application will register another ID, and we need to just set up another OnClickListener for our other button. So we'll just enter down, copy and paste it. And now we just need to change the name for this one, because we're going to have a button named pt2. And we need to set the ID. And I'm going to show you real quick. Just type in R again. Could have just changed the one number, but I want to show you just the process that is going to find both buttons now. Always make sure that you save your work, because now your application will be able to reference both IDs. And yes, we want to use button 2. So we'll save it. So we have button 1 and button 2. All right. So now what we're going to do is, instead of using another public void and then setting another OnClickListener, what we're going to do is we're going to expand this if statement to an if-else statement. So it will say, if the ID that you get from the view is equal to this ID, then do this. Now we'll come down and say else if the get ID is equal to this button 2, then what we want you to do is we want you to do this. Oh, that's supposed to be a capital. Sorry. All right. So now what we have is, if the ID that you get from the view is equal to this button ID, then do this. Else, if the ID that you get from the view is button 2, do something else. So we'll just copy and paste the toast, and we'll just change the text in this toast message to butter. You can change the text to whatever you want, but this is just to keep it basic for you. And now when we save it, run your application, go back over to the emulator. When the application starts up again, we should have something else set. We'll see what we got. Same application, updated with our second button. We have one button that shows one toast message that says toast. And we have another button that when it's clicked, it displays a toast of butter. And you see our OnClickListener, what it was basically saying is, let me see so you can see it. When I was explaining it inside of here, what this is saying inside of the Java, so it makes sense to you. Because it took me a long time to figure this out. I feel so retarded. But you know what? Everybody starts at the bottom when they're learning. And this is set up right here to say that the two buttons have an OnClickListener set. And this OnClick method is set right here to say that if the ID that you get from a click is this ID, then do this. If the ID you get from a click is this, then do this. And I just basically wanted to show you how to add the OnClickListeners programmatically. And you could add like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buttons right here. Some people use a switch statement. I like the if-else statement because it makes so much sense reading it. And it's like, if this is the case, then do this. Else, if this is this, then do this. And you could just keep going. Just type in else if. And then add in. So we could say v.get ID is equal to button 2 then do this. Close the curly brace and you can add your code. And this could be button 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever you have inside your app. And you could just add your code to do whatever you want. So what you could do is you could just use one public void with an onClick on it inside for the view, and then use a if-else statement to register all of the IDs of your buttons, and then give your statements for what you want your application to do. That's pretty much all you need right there. And just keep reading this until it makes sense. It took me so long to figure this out. I swear this took me so long, because when I first started, I could not figure this out for the life of me. I was like, what the hell does this mean? You almost have to read this backwards. Like, look at this. You have an OnClickListener set for button 2. Button 2 is a button which equals a button that you can find in the view by the ID of resource ID button 2. All right, so we also have an OnClickListener set for button 1. And we have a button named button 1, which is equal to a button that you can find in the view by the ID r.id.button1. And it makes so much sense now. I feel bad it took me so long to figure it out. That's why I actually figured out how to do buttons the other way that was in part 1, because I couldn't figure this out. And now I know, like before, when we got the error that the method was unimplemented and it added the public void, the onClick view, before we just left the dummy text in there, and then we added a public void with the name of the button, and we just did that for each button that we wanted to use. And it looks so much cleaner like this, so much more efficient. Well, I guess since I'm not using this, you could probably get rid of this. Hope we don't get any errors. But yeah, you just get rid of that. Could have probably just undid it. I don't know, but now this makes so much sense, because now we're just using this one public void with an onClick for the view, and we have the if-else statements, and it looks so much cleaner, so much nicer. I know it's not the 100% most efficient way to do it, but I mean, hey, it works. I'm not getting any errors, and as you can see, I got toast with butter on it. So I hope this tutorial helped you, and in a future tutorial, we're going to do a little bit more advanced stuff with these buttons, but you need to figure out how to do your buttons programmatically inside the Java. That way you can follow along with the future tutorials. Follow us on the Facebook and the Twitter. Give as much feedback as possible. Click like as many times as you can, I guess once, but just make sure you hit up the other videos too. I got some good information, and I'm going to try to keep these tutorials coming on a regular. So stay tuned. Make sure you sub the channel. Subs are the best. I'd like to send a shout out to all of the subscribers. Y'all are awesome just because y'all are awesome. Till next time, get back to work. Make some apps.